I call to order this special session of the Vienna City Council. Having taken roll and having a quorum, we will proceed. We had no one sign up for the public forum. Recorder Smith, the report of the minutes. Are there any changes, corrections, or additions to the minutes? None? Then the minutes stand as posted. We have no unfinished business this evening. Ask the first questions pertaining to tonight's budget discussion.
I'll go ahead.
Oh, I thought I was going to get adjourned this meeting right through there. It was so close. Go ahead, Rob.
Okay, I have a few questions. One's regarding IT, Mr. Holmes.
Yes.
I noticed you have a 3-year replacement program for the PCs.
Yeah, that's correct.
And that'll be
Okay. About the senior center. I'm just over here in the corner. I'm good.
So I take it the phone in the elevator is fixed?
Yes. Garrett came up with a solution that is satisfactory to the elevator company and the elevator inspector.
Okay.
The hard
Good
line
job, Gary.
didn't happen, but he got portable phones in there that we just swap out, make sure they're charged, and the inspector said that's fine as long as there's somebody to man it during open hours. So
Okay.
good there.
All right, thank you, Liz. Appreciate it. That's all I have, Mayor.
Mr. Sassen.
First item is for you, Chad. You have your list of your goals and objectives that you'd like the city to accomplish between July of 2026 and June of 2027.
We are finalizing goals and objectives for the next year.
Okay, because usually those tie in with the budget. That's why I was asking.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's question number one. Question number two goes to Stephanie in HR. Thanks for sharing information with me.
Sure.
Do we have a plan of how our personnel across the different departments is going to look like over the next several years? Because you're going to have people retire, you're going to replace certain people. Are we going to fill positions for attrition? Are we going to go down headcount or all that type of stuff? Is anything like that been looked at?
It has. And I can take this in part. We have already actually started doing some of those actions. We have had individuals that have retired this past year, in through collective evaluation between myself, HR, and finance. We have not filled those positions. The one exception to that is the Parks Director position that we still have budgeted for in line item. But the other positions, we have attrited through. They weren't department head positions. They were staff positions. In their workload through evaluation has been distributed to other employees within the city. And that is functioning exceptionally well. We're very pleased with the return on investment in that. We know, and we just had this conversation this past week in looking at our retirement plan and so forth. We know that over the course of the next 2 to 4 years, we are going to have several key retirements through that. Several of those are in department head positions. And when they decide to retire, those positions will be filled. But depending upon the regular employee workload, If those individuals retire, we still have availability to fill them based upon the current need. In some of those positions, like I said, we have deemed that we did not need to do that. In others, we have filled. So we'll continue to go forward and work them as they arise. We'll continue to go forward and work them as they arise.
Okay. Stephanie gave me that we have 78 full-time and 10 part-time employees as of the 4th of March. I brought this up last year, got chastised for it. I don't care, I'm gonna talk about it again. When you look at our total revenue coming in, it's 11,926,536, and that's and we're gonna need one, because if you take a look at the ratio of how much our personal services plus contract services adds up over the years, it's gone from 71.5% up to now 75.9%. So your delta keeps shrinking and it keeps increasing, so you're gonna have less money to pay. As a city, the last thing I want to see is somebody come back later and say, we have to have a city tax. We really need to start looking at our costs. And I know you've looked at the costs from a spend standpoint, but the biggest piece of the puzzle from a spend standpoint is salaries and benefits. And that's why I was asking about was people who retired, the attrition plan, and all that other stuff, because you gotta play the shuffle game eventually. That's what I got for right now.
And we are addressing those, and Amy and I sit down and daily have conversations multiple times throughout the day about where our resources come from, how we spend them, and how we allot funding. Imagine that it would continue to work in such fashion. Who else has questions this evening?
I yield my time.
I will tell you that the budget process that we have and that we've been operating with, I'm very happy with what we've come to and what we've put forward. I sat along with Amy with all of our department heads, went over their budget, and we kept budgets, operating budgets, either flat or below. And we also were able to very successfully figure in a 3% raise across the board for all of our employees, plus their longevity. And we are still below the mark on where we were the previous year. And if you remember last year, we went even below the mark then. So I'm very confident in our budget this year and where we're going, and believe it sets ourselves up to be a very strong, financially resilient municipality, and to be able to meet the needs that arise and that pop up occasionally when things happen. So very confident with that. Anyone else? Do any of the department heads have anything that they would like to add in general? Do you have a question?
Yes, I do. On the beautification budget, the budget amount this year is, this coming fiscal year is less than this year. Is that going to be enough to be able to do what you need to do?
Yeah, it is, because the last 2 years, if you remember, we did the pollinator garden area, so our expenses were a lot higher then, so we're not into that right now, so.
Question, I guess, for you, Mayor. When in the budget, people have been asking for, say, salary increases for particular employees, how is that determined? I mean, I know just because they ask for it, it doesn't necessarily happen. How do you determine whether or not those persons within that department are granted those increases?
So there are currently no increase in salary that are separate for salary or hourly that are separate from the 3%.
Okay.
Everybody's the same across the board.
Okay.
No one's getting any more or any less. It's a flat rate across all city employees that applies equally.
The other question I had, Mr. Leach, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Recorder, myself, and Tony sometimes are on attendance at the utility board meetings. We know at most of the utility board meetings, there is talk of the need to increase the pay rate for new employees because we're not able to attract employees. And we're talking about retirements and so forth. Is that something that is within this budget process, or is that something that's totally separate? How does that work?
So what we have done is taken the lowest pay scale for an employee, depending on what category it was, an S class or a C class or whatever it is. So this year, whatever the lowest pay scale is for an individual, say if our starting pay right now is $16, but our lowest paid employee is $17.25. We have adjusted that, and that is now our new starting pay. So no employee will start less than what is currently being paid on the book, so they don't have to play catch up when they get hired. They're coming in at, it's the lowest pay scale, obviously, but that's how we have increased that. In years past, we've given raises, but we haven't adjusted the starting pay. So by doing this, we adjust our starting pay so that when that new hire comes in, they're already at a place comparable of where that, lowest paid employee is.
So basically, I applied the 3% to the starting wage.
Okay.
So that would be the new starting wage for the city.
But I guess my understanding was with those discussions of the employees and the utility board, new employees, that it wasn't enough to really attract people. So is there room for improving that? Because I don't want this to see the city get to a point where we don't have people that are trained and certified to be able to do the work that they need to do. That's a real concern.
So our pay scales are set at entry level for a particular purpose. We are not targeting, the individual who, and look, I'm just completely using this as an example. Our pay scale is not set up to target in an entry level position a 45-year-old individual, married, 3 children, mortgage, all of those things.
I'm talking about job duties.
Right. So when you're looking at entry level classifications, we have actually, what do I want to say, increased our efficiency in our hiring over the course of the last year, in how we market, how we hire, and how we actually put together what the benefit package is. Yes, I understand that, somebody could say, I can go to Hobby Lobby and make $19 an hour. Maybe, but there's no health care, there's no vision, there's no dental, there's no retirement plan that you're being paid into, there's no comp time, there's no sick time, there's none of these things. We have increased our communication to the viable pool of individuals that are applying to identify these things and go over, and we're filling our ranks. I think we've had one individual over the course of the last year say, I'm not taking that job because of the pay out of the several individuals that we have hired. I don't know necessarily that or I don't believe right now that it's a concern, because we are filling our ranks and filling those vacancies. If it got to a point, yes, that nobody is in the world's wanting to hire, but eventually you max yourself out. Some to, Henry's point, there's a cap. We just can't, in a municipality, we just can't continue to raise pay and raise pay and raise pay and raise pay and expect, because we've got limited resources in revenue. So in this case, I'm very confident in how HR is currently functioning and operating. And I'm very pleased with the response that we've gotten back. We put out our pay scale when we put out a job. The last time you did Public Works, we had probably 20 apply.
Yeah, probably.
That applied and through the process. We hired, two of those, that got through. And how many vacancies do we currently have in?
I think there's only one.
There's only one vacant, too, which is a much better position than we're at
Well,
now.
when I do orientation, I am now teaching the younger group that, we do have good benefits. And I know a lot of times until